Hello guys, 𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗥𝗕𝗟𝗘 here. Welcome back to a brand new CreepyPasta video. Today we're gonna be reading the story Channel 10,000. So this is a creepypasta on the trollpasta wiki. So we're now getting right into the trollpastas. Back then we went on the lost episode creepypasta wiki, on the spin pasta wiki. But now it's serious. We're getting to the nitty gritty. It's time to get into the terrible ones. This is Channel 10,000. Channel 10,000 is a banned Dish Network channel that is believed to be linked to hell. Only one person viewed the channel named Mark, who believed that he died from a heart attack, but in reality, I know he watched that channel. Below is his article on what he saw. Well, let's find out and let's see if we can believe Mark. Hello, my name is Mark. My last name isn't important, but I'm going to tell you about a horrible experience I just had on my TV. It was the most awful display of blood, death, and destruction I've ever seen. So before you close out of this window and think, this is baloney, just hear me out. A few nights ago, I was watching my Dish TV. I was browsing through the channels when I noticed that there was no Channel 10,000. Naturally, my curiosity got the best of me, and I called to see what was the reason for not having a Channel 10,000.
Hello, this is Dish Network.
Hello, my name is Mark, and I want to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Why is there no Channel 10,000 in the guide? Hello?
Please, for your sake, do not look for that channel.
He immediately hung up. I thought nothing of it, yet something in my gut was telling me to not look for it. I tried to keep my curiosity content for a couple nights, but one day I just thought, what could happen? So I began searching in the guide for the channel. I even tried searching it on Google, Bing, Ask.com, and a lot of other search engines. They all had no results. Finally, when I was just about to give up, something weird happened. The power went out. I looked at the fuse box in the basement to see if I had blown a fuse, but all of them were still functioning. I just thought that someone or something must have cut the line, so I just waited in the dark for about 5 minutes. However, during those minutes, I kept hearing a strange noise in the back of my head. It was like a faint gurgling or screaming, as if someone was drowning. I still thought nothing of it. I just thought I was hearing things. Then all of a sudden, I heard a voice, like the man from Dish. I also saw a shadowy figure standing outside my window. The voice said,
I warned you, and you didn't listen.
Then the power finally turned back on. When it turned on, the TV also turned on by itself. At first, the screen was scrambled. It started to form into the normal Dish guide. I looked at the remote and I noticed that there was nothing on it except for a select button. Not even the Dish logo was on it. It also didn't have holes for other buttons. I knew that something was off. I looked at the guide only to find that there was only one channel, 10,000. The text below the number was in an unknown language. I just couldn't resist. I had finally found the channel that I had been looking for. So what was holding me back? Why wouldn't I press that damn button? I finally just pressed the select button to see what the channel was like. Then when I looked, it was just static. I just thought that the content was deleted. I watched for a few more minutes to see if anything would happen. I was about to get up and leave when the static on the screen started to turn a sickly shade of dark red. Then it started to move in a strange way. It seemed almost as if it were alive. I then thought that something really was going to happen. It then cut to another scene for a few seconds. It was horrible, but this was only the beginning of the torment. It was a scene of a little boy who had to be no more than 3. He was naked. He was also horribly cut and bruised. One of his limbs appeared to be missing. He also had appeared to have a torn off jaw. He was vomiting. But what was even more horrible was that he was puking blood. Thick, red, chunky blood. At the last second of the scene, he started to vomit up organs. It then cut back to the static. It was playing the sound of the boy vomiting and the screaming and crying in pain and agony. I couldn't take much more of this. Even though it had been only a few minutes, how much longer was I going to watch through this thing? What the hell was going on? Why was this happening? After a few more minutes of static, it cut to commercials. These seemed normal for a change. When it returned to the static, I kept thinking that more hellish things were going to happen. I couldn't take much more of the suspense when it suddenly showed a scene of a mutilated body of a little kid that appeared to be a girl. Almost all her flesh was missing. All of her organs were still active and pumping. I could hear the sickening sound of blood gushing everywhere and her organs still moving. And worse, I could hear her screaming and crying in pain as her cries were gradually getting weaker and weaker. Then a large boot covered in organ and blood chunks stepped on her head. Blood and brain particles went everywhere on the floor, on the walls, and onto my floor. I couldn't stop thinking what the hell was happening. I looked away from the screen when I saw my room was being transformed. Everything had blood on the walls and veins were protruding from the floor. I thought this must be a dream. I closed my eyes as hard as I could, but something was making me watch. It was awful. Make it stop! Kept seeing dead, mutilated bodies of so many innocent people. When was this hellish nightmare going to end? I saw veins bursting, organs exploding. I saw guts and bones and all the remnants of the body spewing into my room. When I saw it switch to a blank black screen, he then faded into the final scene. It was just a tombstone. It had my name on it, though. What was even weirder was that the date was today. Then the camera lifted upwards, revealing a robbed figure holding a knife of some sort. He then said to me,
Hello, Mark. I am what waits in store for you when you die. This is what happens when souls are forced into our world. All of these tortured souls' lives end in suffering and tragedy. Wait until you see what happens to you, since the creators of this channel all know that the death is overrated. We won't kill you. You'll be the one that decides that. Goodbye, Mark. We'll see you soon.
Then it switched back to the normal dish television guide and my room had reverted back to normal. Even so, I still couldn't forget how much blood, death and destruction I had just seen in just 15 short minutes. That's how it came to be right now. I locked myself in my room, turned off the TV, and I am just sitting in the corner of my room with a pistol in my hand, just sobbing. I can't take much more of the suspense. What was going to happen to me? Well, I have the pistol. Maybe if I just put it in my mouth. Yeah. Now I'll finally be rid of all the suspense and paranoia. Even though a terrible fate awaits me. Goodbye. That must have been the most wildest trollpastas I've ever read. Seriously, it's so hilarious when you read a book or a fan fiction and it starts out so realistically and then ends up going like in the straight up opposite direction. Like this is what happened to the story. We first begin with the secret hellish object. In this case, it's a channel which Dish Network doesn't want you to know about it. It's similar to the cashier in the possessed video game trope where they buy the game and say, please don't play it or take it for free or something. This is exactly what the Dish Network guy is. And our next cliche is the unnecessary amount of gore. The descriptions were really detailed when they shouldn't have been. It's just pointless gore for the sake of it. And then we got the classic stereotype where it's like, oh, I really wanted to go away and just not look at this, but something was forcing me. The same thing that happened with the WKYS3D3 story from last time. I really don't know how could something like this happen. What kind of force just makes you stare at something horrifying for such a long time? Is it curiosity or disturbance? I really don't know this. I think it's some philosophical thing right now, but honestly, this is just under my categories just feels so cliched. And finally, we have the classic fiction and real life, the line between them blurring so much to the point where they become straight up interactable when the blood flows when everything just goes into his room and everything starts changing. And then he, at one point, he says it could be a dream. Like, no shit, Sherlock. This just feels like a dream. It can't happen in real life. And the story itself just, it feels like the author just tried to sound as edgy as possible, and that's why he did all of these tropes. But honestly, this story itself is also terrible because it's on the trollpasta, of course it is. So we'll remain it as with that rating. But anyway, guys, I'll see you in my next video. And the next video, oh boy, it's gonna be another wild one. But until that time comes, like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And also tell me in the comments if you like this video or what would you do to improve this story. But until that time comes, I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.